Scrum-based methodologies represent the most common form of Agile methodology used in practice today. In Scrum, we have a product backlog which represents all of the issues, those are features and bugs, that remain to be fixed for a product. And then we work through a series of sprints that are usually 1 to 3 weeks long. In each sprint, we're working on what's known as the sprint backlog. So this is a subset of the product backlog, which contains just those specific issues that we want to work on in the individual sprint. Scrum-based methodologies don't prescribe specific engineering practices that a team needs to follow. The team themselves will figure out what makes the most sense for the product that they're trying to build. But all Scrum-based teams do have these 3 high-level stakeholder roles. So first we have the product owner. The product owner is the person who acts as the proxy for the client or is the client themselves. So their primary role is to prioritize issues that are being worked on in a sprint and to evaluate the team's output to make sure that the work they've made on specific issues matches their expectations. Next, we have the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master's job is to manage the development process. So they're not the manager of the team, but they're the manager of the process. They make sure that the team is on track and is working on this specifically on the issues for that sprint that the product owner has prioritized as being important. And finally, we have the team themselves. So Scrum-based teams are typically 5 to 7 people and span a variety of disciplines. So we might have developers, QA, and ops all on the same Scrum team working together to build a product. So as we mentioned before, the product backlog is all of the issues that are assigned to a development team. And an important part of the Scrum process is to go through the product backlog and figure out through a comprehensive planning process what the subset is that you're going to address in an individual sprint. Because at the end of your sprint, which is 1 to 3 weeks long, but has a fixed duration, right? So it's important to note that each team will know how long their sprints are. At the end of the sprint, the product needs to be shippable. So you need to make sure that the issues that you choose from the product backlog to deliver in an individual sprint are achievable within the timeline allocated for that sprint. So this planning process is an important step, right? We're going to be going through all of these issues. And this is going to be done in conjunction with the product owner because the product owner is going to have some notion based on their own priorities, which ones of the features in the product backlog are most important to them, right? Will give them the most value. But at the same time, the technical team is going to know how hard, or they're going to talk about how hard it is to actually deliver those features. Because if they ask for a feature, if the product owner asks for a feature that will take more than 1 sprint, or they ask for too many features to deliver in 1 sprint, it's the team's role, and a crucial role, for them to push back and say that this is too much to be done and we need to find a happy medium that works for both stakeholders. So the planning process is all about taking this product backlog, figuring out what we can build, and turning it into the sprint backlog, right, to figure out what that subset is. And that's what flows into our individual sprints. So that's the subset of issues that the development team essentially guarantees that they're going to deliver over the course of a sprint. So once we have the sprint backlog, what we need to do next is to start working on our individual sprints. Now, one aspect that is common across all Scrum-based methodologies is this notion of a stand-up meeting. So the stand-up meeting is something that happens frequently, every day in fact, where the team comes together, stands up, and goes over their progress. This is the opportunity for all of the team members to say what's blocking them, what they worked on last, and what they're working on next. So this is really only a 10 to 15 minute status update for the team so that everyone knows how they're doing as a collective group. Now these meetings are where the Scrum Master takes a particularly important role. It's their job to make sure that everyone on the team is delivering what they said the day before they were going to do, and make sure that the team works together to figure out how to resolve any problems if they come up. So if I say that I'm behind and I'm having a lot of trouble with the feature that I'm building, it's the Scrum Master's job to help figure out how the team can adjust and make it so that we can collectively deliver this feature on time. And again, these happen absolutely every single day. And at the end of the sprint, we have this notion, or this phase called the ceremony phase. And in the ceremony phase, a variety of different things happen. But the first thing that happens is we'll have the sprint retrospective. And this is where the technical team will go and demo all of the features they added to the product owner. So it's a chance for the product owner to concretely reflect and see what has been built over the course of the sprint and provide really good feedback for the team so they can use that to inform their development and planning process for the next phase. There's also an opportunity for a process retrospective. This is where the team goes and looks at how did their planning process go? How did their development process go? How did they overcome obstacles that they encountered? And really think about whether or not they need to change their own internal processes so they can be more effective as a team in the next sprint. Right? So this is an important notion where the team will actually be reflective on how they did and use this reflection to make themselves better as a team. And this is again why Scrum doesn't lay out a lot of specific recommendations about how each team should operate, and instead empowers the team to really think about what they did and make things better. And then at the end of the ceremony phase is actually where we go and we do this planning, right? So we plan for the next sprint after we've gone through and reflected on how the sprint has gone itself.